The college football world has been absolutely rocked by the news. Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss to become the next head coach of the LSU Tigers. Now, a coach leaving for a rival is always a massive story, but this one is getting messy. And it's unfolding right before our eyes on social media. A prevailing narrative was starting to form, one painted by Kiffin himself, suggesting his departure was full of heartfelt goodbyes, and a team begging him to stay for one last ride. But, as it turns out, that might not be the whole truth. In fact, some Ole Miss players are calling him out, and they're not holding back. Let's break down what's happening. On Sunday, Lane Kiffin released a statement on Twitter, a sort of farewell message to the Ole Miss faithful. In it, he explained his side of the story. He wrote that he had hoped to finish what he started, to lead this historic Ole Miss team through the college football playoff. He said he wanted to capitalize on their incredible success and finish the season strong. This sounds pretty standard, right? A coach wanting to see his team through to the very end. But here's where it gets interesting. Kiffin claimed that his request to continue coaching the team through the playoffs was denied by the athletics director, Keith Carter. And then he dropped this bombshell line. Despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them, he essentially told the world that the players wanted him there, that they pleaded for him to stay for the playoff run. But the administration said no. This paints Kiffin as a loyal coach who was pushed out the door, a leader whose players still believed in him, even as he was leaving for their biggest rival. It's a powerful image, one that could win him a lot of sympathy. But then, the players started to talk, and their story is very, very different. The first public response came from offensive lineman Bryson Sanders. He quote-tweeted Kiffin's statement and wrote, "I think everyone that was in that room would disagree. That's a direct contradiction." Sanders is essentially saying that the team meeting didn't go down the way Kiffin described. He's challenging the idea that the players were begging Kiffin to stay. This tweet immediately lit a fire under the whole situation. It wasn't just a rumor anymore. It was a current player publicly disputing his former coach's version of events. And it didn't stop there. A little while later, another prominent player, defensive star Suntarine Perkins, weighed in. He replied to Kiffin's post with an even more direct accusation. Perkins wrote, "That was not the message you said in the meeting room. Everybody that was in there can vouch on this. Wow. This isn't just a disagreement. This is a full-blown refutation." Perkins is claiming that Kiffin said something entirely different to the team behind closed doors than what he was telling the public in his farewell statement. This completely flips the narrative. The picture Kiffin painted of a team united in wanting him to stay is now being shattered by the players themselves. So what does this all mean? It means Lane Kiffin's exit from Oxford is far from the clean break he might have hoped for. Leaving a program for a conference rival is already a contentious move. It's rare, and it always sparks outrage from the fan base you're leaving behind. But to have your own players publicly call you out for dishonesty on your way out the door, that takes the drama to a whole new level. It suggests that the relationship between Kiffin and his team had soured more than anyone knew. It also raises a lot of questions. What did Kiffin actually say in that team meeting? Why would he claim the players wanted him to stay if they didn't? Was he trying to control the narrative and make himself look better in the public eye? It seems his former players aren't going to let him do that without a fight. They feel their side of the story needs to be heard, and they're using their platforms to make sure it is. Meanwhile, Ole Miss is trying to move forward. The university has already named Pete Golding as the new head coach, hoping to bring some stability back to the program as they prepare for their first ever college football playoff appearance. In an interesting twist, it's been confirmed that offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. will be allowed to stay and coach the team through the playoffs. This detail makes Kiffin's claim that he was denied the opportunity to coach even more curious. If another coach is being allowed to stay for the postseason, why wouldn't Kiffin have been? Was it really the AD's decision, or was there something else going on? The financial aspect of this move is also staggering. Kiffin's deal with LSU reportedly makes him one of the highest paid coaches in all of college football. And by all accounts, Ole Miss didn't just let him walk away. They reportedly made a very competitive counteroffer to try and keep him in Oxford. But in the end, the pull of LSU and the massive contract was too strong. Kiffin is headed to Baton Rouge, leaving a trail of controversy and confusion behind him. For the Ole Miss players, it seems they're more than ready to turn the page. The public callouts from Sanders and Perkins show a team that isn't mourning the loss of their coach. Instead, they seem fired up, perhaps even motivated by the perceived slight. They have a playoff game to prepare for, a chance to make history for their school, and they're not going to let this off-field drama distract them. They're moving on with or without Lane Kiffin. This entire saga is a fascinating look at the high-stakes, high-drama world of modern college football. It is a reminder that what happens behind the closed doors of a team meeting room doesn't always stay there. Especially in the age of social media, the players have a voice, and they are not afraid to use it. As Lane Kiffin starts his new chapter at LSU, he leaves behind an Ole Miss program that feels he wasn't entirely truthful on his way out. And for the Rebels, maybe this controversy is exactly the fuel they need to go out and prove they're bigger than any one coach. The story is far from over, and you can bet we'll be watching every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to subscribe for more updates on this and all the biggest stories in college football.